Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Digital Noir Presents, the podcast loosely based around life in a digital studio. I'm your host Sam. I've got my co-host with me today, Nicholas Bozic.
Hi guys.
Christo Mabs.
G'day.
And we've got an awesome guest today, Michelle Pearson, the cabaret cook. She's got a really interesting event happening at Tasting Australia this year, and we had a really cool chat with her last week. So we're going to jump in chatting about one of our favourite wineries, Fox Creek. Enjoy.
And at the time we were running these things called like the Ruby Awards and the ABAF Awards together, and they were basically celebrating like arts partnerships, and Fox Creek were the main sponsor.
Cool.
And that was, I reckon, 12 years ago. That was when they first started sponsoring the arts, and now they're really right in the arts, obviously, like with the garden and
sure.
Fringe and everything
all
like
like
that.
the paintings everywhere.
So that's probably my fault that they give so much money to the arts. That was my job. But they're great. They're really good people.
Helen seems like a really interesting woman.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. And they've got the new learning centre there. Have you been there recently?
Up to Fox Creek?
Yeah.
So I've been into where they have so off the side where they have the boardroom and the...
So they're calling it the Helen Watts Learning Centre after her, which is really cool. Yeah.
No, it's they're lovely people. So I'm based down south, so but I sort of Kristen knows my folks there in Wollonga, so
okay.
Yeah, she's
there
lovely.
You go. Yeah.
I went about 2 weeks ago to do a video.
It's so good, isn't it? Yeah. Vixen. It is a Vixen.
Yeah.
You have to be really careful.
Vixen's your favourite.
Yeah.
Vixen's my favourite too.
Same. We've
got a bottle in the fridge at the moment. And you just see it every day. You're like, wait for the weekend to pop that.
Yeah, it's red, but it's refreshing and bubbly.
Yeah, it's so good.
The Barossa breakfast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Cool. So, I suppose it's really interesting as a concept, Michelle, like what you're working on with Tasting Australia. Tell us a bit more about the cabaret and about how you worked food into that.
Well, I've always loved cooking. Like I've always loved just to cook and to feed people. I'm very much like having people over, and I love like food culture, and I love MasterChef, and I even will sometimes watch my kitchen rules. Like I'll even like really get into it. And I've always been a singer, so I've just always done that. And I guess I started doing cabaret, I reckon probably 7 years ago. And I kind of liked it because it was, I guess, more of a storytelling foray for me. Yeah. And I could actually, explore some different themes rather than just sing, like either just straight songs.
Sure.
And for me, I've never been much of a songwriter. Like I can songwrite, but I generally like to do the cabaret style because you can basically take a song and change it, and I guess change the entire feeling or theme of it. And I really like that. But I've always wanted to put them together. I always thought, like, wouldn't it be great if there could be like a cooking show where they sing? And I spoke to a lot of people like, I'm thinking of doing this show. And they said, oh, that's great. Why don't you do a show about food, but don't cook anything because it's too hard? Sure. And I was like, no, that's not going to work. And so everyone was like, you're crazy. You'll never, like, how are you going to do it? And I was like, well, I haven't worked that out yet, but I'll figure it out. And I did it over a year. I worked on it for quite some time, and I developed it like over and over and over again. And I had a mentor who was a cabaret artist here called Amelia Ryan, and she had won lots of awards. And so she really helped me kind of like take my thoughts from big to small and kind of put them out on paper and write a script properly and everything, and time things, because if you're singing and you start talking too much like I'm doing right now, you end up burning something. Like you have to actually time things. So I was like, all right, at that point stop talking and go back to the pan. So we ended up just rehearsing it a few times, and I guess once the musicians came on board, and I ended up getting a cook as well to help me plate, I guess, what I was cooking.
Sure.
For the audience, it all just came together, and I still can't believe that we're doing it because it's all a bit like, it's really hard to explain to people. People go, so what? So you're a cook and you're a singer and you sing about food. Like, do you sing Italian arias about spaghetti and like, no. It's basically our experiences with food. So it's about, love and loss, romance. It's quite funny. It's about fear. It's about, human connection and the art of dining. There's a few references to like wanky food culture in there, and smears and foams and things like that. But yeah, like George Columbaris and his little things he says on MasterChef. Like,
sure. Yeah. The little serving he does.
Okay. Yeah, with his tweezers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you pair the music to the food? Like,
We kind of do. Yeah.
Okay.
So a really good, like a really literal example of what we do is we basically like, I'll talk about, you know, how we've come here, you know, what Comfort Food Cabaret is about for us. And then, you know, sometimes we start with a story about, you know, like me being a fussy kid and never really getting over the pairing of savoury and fruit. So
Sure.
like ham and pineapple pizza just freaks me out.
Yeah.
I really struggle with it.
Yeah.
And it actually stems back to an awkward teenage encounter, which I talk about, that without a doubt has scarred me for life, about, you know, a first kiss where I went to his house as like a 16-year-old girl and his parents cooked me apricot chicken and I was just so freaked out by it. And then so we basically then weave a song, like we weave the song at last through that whole story of that journey of like getting there, looking good, everything going well, and then them asking me if I like apricot chicken and then having to eat the apricot chicken and then, you know, the first kiss and all that tension building, and then, you know, unfortunately, you know, him, you know, still having apricot chicken stuck in his braces during our first kiss. So like it all kind of weaves in. So we are talking about food, but it's more the experience that food and dining leads you to. So we don't really sing, you know, like Italian arias about spaghetti or
the
something.
actual food,
Yeah.
But isn't it interesting, I suppose, how like both food and music can take you back to a time
A
and
memory.
place?
That's exactly what it's about. It's
Yeah.
all about, you know, they're two mediums that are quite inspiring for people, and obviously now we're in an age where people love MasterChef and they love reality cooking TV shows, and that's obviously everyone's doing that at the moment. And so people are really interested in maybe being better cooks, but they also love music, they love performance. And so putting them together, they're quite inspiring for people, but also they really do lead you back to memories. So, and we talk about that a lot. Like I talk about, you know, cooking with my nana growing up, and, you know, like, you know, how you always expect, you know, to know certain recipes because your family knows them, but you actually don't know them. Like I grew up in a Lebanese household, and my mum's side of Lebanese, and we just never had any Lebanese food, like ever. And we lived there for like 8 years.
Oh, really?
And we just never had any Lebanese food. So now I love it. I'm always like, oh, Lebanese food, let me, you know, so it's almost, you know, but we talk about that in the show and why that was and everything. And we just, you know, we explore lots of different things. I talk about, you know, meeting my my now husband, you know, and, you know, the food that he cooked me on our first date, and like just being so blown away by this guy cooking me this amazing meal, and
It's
you know, we go into real
first date.
it was really good. He does it, and people go, oh, he's so lucky, so you guys share the cooking. Like, oh no, that was like a once off. I do all the cooking.
Do you actually cook the food while you're telling the story?
Yeah, we do.
So then like the smell comes out when you're actually explaining it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
we cook a 3-course meal during the show,
Yeah.
and we basically serve that to the audience. So a lot of the cooking I'll do during the day. So if we're doing like a pasta sauce or something, I'll cook the sauce during the day.
Sure.
And then my cook will plate that. But pasta's one of the hardest things to do in our show, because like there's Lauren there trying to like drain like ridiculous amounts of pasta, like
Elegantly.
and, you know, like elegantly without making lots and lots of noise. But that's really good. And we've actually tried it where we've put Lauren, and my cook is a school friend of mine, and I actually chose her because I wanted somebody who could cook like with heart, you know, but isn't an actual chef or a cook. And so she's Maltese, and I remember being a kid and like hanging out at her house, and her mum would always just feed us all this Maltese food, and I remember that really well. So I was like, well, I bet you Lauren can do it too. And then we go to her house, and like she can feed a lot of people all at once, and I was like, that is what I want. I want someone like that who can kind of get into the show. Excuse me. And so we ended up getting her along to do it. But we've tried it before where we've had her like in a kitchen out the back where no one could kind of see her, and then she brings out the plates like all elegantly and everything, and it actually takes away from the show, because there's actually a real buzz about seeing Lauren like, you know, quickly move around halloumi in a pan because it's burning shit, like, oh shit, like, and you hear her like, ow, like burning herself. That's actually, there's a real
It's a real experience.
and it is like, you know, and if you were sitting in a kitchen, like in a restaurant, and there's chefs like swearing at each other and telling each other off and like, yes chef, and like I've got this many covers or something. that actually all adds to that tension, and so that is a really big part of what we do, and I guess we've learnt that by taking it away and then going, no, we actually want that.
Yeah, sure. I think that's something with those shows that has kind of, that curtain's kind of been lifted, and people are more interested in what is behind the scenes as opposed to it sort of being, here's your beautiful food.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone sees what we do. We do cook a 3-course meal and we serve that in, to the audience. So in Fringe, we'll do it as a small taste, so everyone will get like a taste of everything we do.
Because how many people are you having
in Fringe? We can have up to about 80.
Yeah.
But when crazy. So that's why we do tastes. But everyone this year, they were booking to go out for dinner afterwards, and they were all cancelling because we feed really generous tastes. So like you're getting like 2 pieces of halloumi, and then we did a beautiful like pulled lamb this year, like a slow cooked lamb with like a baharat, which is a Lebanese spice, with a salad. Beautiful. And that was really yummy. And then we did a chocolate mousse as well. And so people were just like, oh, I'm stuffed. I don't want any more food by the end of it. So, but they kind of eat on their laps. Like we've got, Det Pack giving us disposable boats and things. Whereas in Tasting Australia, we do it more refined. So we sit at long tables and we have really nice wine, and it's all matched, and people eat off actual plates with forks, and
and
we've got tablecloths.
Roaming around, sort of.
Well, no, I'll probably set myself up a stage as well. So I probably will roam around because it's quite a long. We're doing it at Crack Kitchen on Franklin Street, and that's quite a long kind of skinny cafe. Sure. So I get the feeling I might be standing on a stair kind of singing, hopefully not falling off. But yeah, I have to somehow be able to cook because I demo everything we do as well. So, yeah.
Do you sing with music, or do you just kind of just sing? Like
no, excuse me. I have a musical director called Aaron Nash, and he's been with me from the beginning. I like to call him my well-fed musician because he literally eats everything. Like he's like, is there any more lamb left? Is there any more halloumi left? Like, oh, what's for dinner? What's the menu? Like he wants to know. And he now cooks as well when we're like under the pump. He's like, I can do the halloumi because I've been doing it for years. So he knows how to do it. But yeah, so he plays keys, and in my original year, my first year, which was last year, we had a bass player as well. But he's now a policeman, so he can't do it anymore. He wants to do it. He came along the night and we got him up to cook, and he's a very good looking guy, and all the ladies, but there's like obviously all these middle-aged ladies there that night, and they were like, oh, he's gorgeous. Does he come in the uniform? You're like, all right, calm down.
It's a different kind of cabaret.
It's all different. Everything gets a bit rowdy on the last night, but he would love to keep doing it, so we might keep adding to that. My husband's a percussionist, so I'd love to eventually build in the balance of having like some percussion in the show, but done on kitchen utensils. That's what I'd really like pots. And like it is funny, Lauren doesn't realise she does it, but whenever I'm telling this certain story, she's seasoning, and the grinder is actually like a real percussion instrument, and you're like, and it's like, can you do that here, not there? Like,
that's brilliant.
But it's really loud, and people can see it and everything. So it'd be great if there was like a bit where it's like, that'd be great.
You can sync up the cooking with that.
Yeah, that'd be really good. Yeah.
Are you going to check out any other Taste in Australia events yourself?
Yeah, I'm hoping to. I reckon I love the idea of the glass house, and there's like a wine disco going on as well, which I thought was really cool. I love Tasting Australia. Like I really like it. And last year I just hung out in the town square every weekend, even weekdays. Just took my laptop, just sat there eating and drinking, which is a pretty good office.
It was a really good setup, I thought. Like,
it is,
we walked down a couple of times last year and just had lunch, but it was a really had a sort of festive air to it,
and it's got a real buzz.
And beautiful food too. Like,
absolutely.
From a catering perspective, like it was really well set up.
Yeah, a lot of nice like barbecues and
absolutely.
Charcoal.
We were really surprised to get into Tasting Australia because I just thought like there's no way they're going to program some girl who sings and cooks comfort food, like because we're not chefs or anything. But we got in and we were like, oh wow, okay, that's good. And I don't think there was any expectation that we would sell very well based on their feedback of like, just schedule one show and see how you go. And we went, well, based on our last year, we're selling out every show we do.
Yeah.
So we think we'll be right. And then we have like, so that's really good. And it's a really good opportunity to us because we then can do an arts festival, but we can also do a food festival. So that kind of opens up our audience as well.
Definitely.
So that's really good.
Have you taken it interstate or anywhere else yet?
Yeah, so we've taken it to Melbourne. Okay. So we did the Melbourne Fringe. And to be honest, Melbourne Fringe isn't our audience. Like, to be honest, actually Fringe audiences are difficult because they want like $20 shows and this includes food. So even Adelaide Fringe this year, we lost money, but we're charging $50 a ticket. But we've got 2 cooks, we've got a musician, we've got 80 people to feed. Like it's hard. Venue hire, oven, like we're hiring like a convection oven at like $1,700 for a month. Like it's hard, like it is tricky. But you know but that's fine. That's all good. And we actually do Fringe to open up our audiences for shows like this, which where we actually can make some money off of it. So that's just audience development for us. But I guess with Melbourne, we took it to the Fringe and we could not find a venue anywhere. And I'm just thinking, how am I going to cook in like a hotel or apartment and then take all of our pasta sauce and everything to our venue? So we actually looked at Hub in Melbourne. I thought maybe, because they've got like a really open kitchen, I thought maybe that would work. And then I just had this idea, like, why don't we just hire a really shit hot penthouse and have it in the penthouse?
That'd be nice.
And so we asked like 100 Airbnb owners, and everyone's like, no way, there's not a chance you're doing that. And it probably sounded really dodge. And it's like, no, this is serious. Like, look at all my pictures. They're like, we're not having a swingers party or anything. And we found this guy who used to live in Tailem Bend, so we call him Tony from Tailem Bend, and he owns this great, really porny, probably late 80s penthouse in South Bank.
Okay.
And it is just like the most incredible views over the arts centre. And he was like, yeah, sure, it costs like a lot of money, but it ended up being cheaper for us to stay where we were performing. And we had like this incredible place, and it had like shag pole rugs and like I've never seen that many cupboards. Like it was, that had like the walk-in wardrobe is bigger than my house. Like it was ridiculous, but it was amazing. It was really, really cool. And so we ended up doing these dinner party shows there, and we actually did a full dinner. And Fox Creek actually sponsored us for that. And so their wines were coming over, and we got less Vixen because we were like, oh, Vixen's a real SA thing. No one will like it. Everyone was like, whoa, it's just this huge party every night. And one funny thing that happened once, it was like we would make it really nice. So we'd like set it up like a full dinner, like tables beautifully set, tablecloths being ironed before people were getting there, like really, really nice. I would wear like an evening gown and I'd wait at the lift, and we're on the 18th floor. And this couple came through, and a guy was trying to like impress his wife for her birthday, and he called up and he goes, you're sold out, I know, but I just really, really want, to bring her. I said, oh, that's all right, I can probably fit 42 in, because we were doing 40 a night. And I thought, okay, we'll do that. And, he stepped out the lift with her, and there's me with some French champagne, like, oh, hello, welcome, something. And she was really like, where are we? Like, what is going on? And she was so uncomfortable. And it was just such a long walk from the lift to the shag pole rug. And she saw it and she went, I told you I don't want to go to a swingers party. Like, what have you done? She's like nudging him, and he's like, it's not. And then I just say, no, this is like a musical cabaret dinner. And she was like, what? That's ridiculous. And like she walked in and there's tables. She went, oh, that's so good. That's such a relief. But yeah, we started to realise that's what it kind of looked like. But yeah, it was really good. It was great. Melbourne was really good for us, and like we just didn't think that we'd be able to get audiences. Our tickets were selling so badly at the beginning, and then I did a couple of radio interviews, and they just sold. And I had so many people say, oh, we heard you on Triple R, and I just never knew that radio in Melbourne was such a big medium for advertising, but it obviously is. And that's how people found out about it. So we had lots of tourists, we had lots of fringe lovers, food lovers. So we'll definitely go back to Melbourne. We did 3 nights, probably saw about 110 people in that time. That was good. Hectic though.
I think that kind of like experiential things that is something that people kind of crave these days. I think it's a bit different. I was over in the UK for a number of years, and that kind of like secret dinner party scene was really big there, which still doesn't seem to have taken off in a big way in Australia.
No.
Like, not with there was people that worked theatre into it as well, and they had like rotating chefs that would come and sort of really talk through what they were doing. And it was quite a big thing. But
well, it's good because I feel like there's so much opportunity. Like you could do it anywhere, and people like it. Like they just love the idea of music and food, and like we don't do pretentious food. We do like really accessible food. We do pies and pasta and like slow cooked meats and things, but people like it, and that's what we do. Like we do a really mean sticky date pudding.
Nice.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
So what is comfort food to you then? Like
comfort food, like I guess the philosophy for me behind it, food philosophy, listen to that. I reckon it's more about food that like makes you feel good, and maybe it's healthy, maybe it's just because you're tired and you're cold. When you're cold and you just feel like a bowl of pasta. Like comfort food, my comfort food is pasta. Like I could eat it all the time, but I just try not to.
I get that every single day.
I just love pasta. Or Asian food, like, Vietnamese food, like like a beef pho or something would be amazing. That'd be really yummy. Like, so just yummy food that makes you feel good is comfort food. It doesn't have to be healthy. It can be healthy, but, it's not generally fancy. It's not something you wait a long time for either.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's often food you just can eat with a fork or a spoon. One hand. Or sit on the couch in the corner. Just, absolutely one hand of food. That's great. That's a really good way to put it. What are your favourite comfort foods? So I always like to know this. Pasta's a big one.
Yeah.
Nick's got a Thai background, but I cooked a chicken holy basil. What's the Thai name for it? Pad kapao?
Yeah.
Kapao?
Oh, yum.
Pad kapao.
Yeah, but holy basil chicken. That's those kind of casseroles. Like I love goulash, like a good Hungarian goulash with like gravy beef done, slow cooked.
Yum.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
What about you? What's your comfort food?
Oh, yeah, maybe, I don't know, definitely pasta. I eat way too much of that.
Like
Pad Thai as well, always good.
Yeah.
I like
definitely sticky date pudding as well.
Yeah. I like cakes.
Yeah.
Cakes.
Yeah.
I'm not a big cake person.
Cheesecakes.
Like I could miss it. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife cooks like a cheesecake once a week.
Yeah,
once a week?
Yeah, once a week.
Wow, that's pretty lucky.
So it's either like a Japanese cheesecake, the really fluffy one, or like a New York cheesecake.
Wow. Okay.
Once a week.
You guys are like, why don't we see any cheesecake?
My wife's an ex-pastry chef, and I get a cheesecake like once a year.
Whoa. There you go.
Trading wives.
For cheesecake.
Yeah, I've always loved like cooking for people, and I guess probably when I met my husband about 5-6 years ago, I started probably really coming into the interest more, and I was just more into it, and I started trying new things with food. And I think when you're with a partner who has really similar food tastes to you, you start to like just get really good at, and I was just constantly just knocking out all these dishes. So a friend said to me in the lead up to Comfort Food Cabaret, why don't you make an Instagram page? And I was like, oh, I can't be bothered. I just have already have to do with Facebook. Like, do I? And he was like, no, just do it. And my cousin, who was 15 years old at the time, started me off and said, no, food's like, so she just took a photo of something and made an Instagram page for me. I thought, all right, we'll give it a go. And it's amazing how as time went on, it was like, okay, we're just going to keep putting food posts up. And I look at them from 2014 of what I put up to now, and you're like, wow, I used to put up some really shitty looking things. Like obviously know how to use a filter now and like or do it, but or like know how to take a photo. But we started naming like Stu, my husband, Lucky Stew. So there's a hashtag called Lucky Stew. You can look it up. And I'm always getting like teased about it. But whenever I cook something for him, he gets like Lucky Stew. And so at our wedding, his best man ended up reading out like a speech and basically summarising all of my meals over the last year. Lucky Stews. The whole crowd was like, Lucky Stew. So there's this whole thing of like when we go to a party, his friends go, oh, how's Lucky Stew going? What have you eaten this week? So
trending hashtag.
Trending hashtag Lucky Stew. Yeah. These are always really yummy things and decadent things on like a Monday night when you're generally just having chicken and veg or something. So yeah, checking it out.
There's one. That's a nice one.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that was an old one.
I had a
Usually
similar
breakfast.
experience though. Like I grew up in a household where food was really important. And I grew up eating great food, but then I suppose in my early 20s I didn't really care that much. But then when I met my now wife, but once you're cooking for somebody and you've got that sort of, I suppose, someone that you can bounce off and they enjoy it, and I suppose you're providing comfort and provide, giving that sort of, you get that joy out. I think I spent a long time cooking something and I really want it to someone else to be happy. Like I usually am upset with it for some reason, I don't think it's right, I'm a perfectionist, but it's that sort of joy of giving as opposed to just cooking it for the sake of filling yourself up.
Absolutely. And I always say that, like, it is a real it's a generosity, like it's the way it's the way I show my love and my generosity to people. I like to cook for them, and like, I love having people over. That's my favorite thing to do. And even if like the meal isn't amazing, like it's just that act of eating together and connecting over food, that's one of my favorite things to do. So
my kitchen was getting redone. Well, it finished recently, but it took about 6 months because the tradespeople were hopeless.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it was horrible during that time. Like it felt like we were camping every day. You had to eat outside. We moved the stove in the backyard, and like even the slightest wind, it would just blow out the flame.
Oh, that is so annoying.
It was just like a living hell.
Is it finished now?
It's finished now.
Nice.
Yeah. I have a tiny little kitchen. I have a really little, we live in an original mid-century house, like, and it's like a tiny little 1960s kitchen, and it is like, I have a Fahrenheit oven, like an original Metters Fahrenheit oven. It's beautiful. So good. And when we had that statewide blackout, I was like, I'm fine. I've got my gas oven. I was going really well. Everything's on gas. I'm fine. But everyone always walks in like, how do you cater? How do you do this in this kitchen? It's like, you just get really used to this space. I think if I had a really big kitchen, I probably would love it, but it would take me a while to get used to actually working in it. So you're like, you become really accustomed to what you've got around you and your space and your utensils and your wooden spoon or whatever that is. Yeah.
I think you can use space creatively as well. We bought a house a couple of years ago and the kitchen's not great. It's probably the rest of the house is amazing. The kitchen's, and that's where we spend most of our time.
Yeah.
But then just by putting the things you need most close to you and having it kind of set up in a sort of a minimalist way, I suppose.
It's cozy.
Definitely cozy.
And you look at a lot of like kitchens in commercial kitchens outside of your sort of fancy restaurants. They're pretty pokey.
They are absolutely. I'm
It's
always
really
surprised.
tight.
Like I always walk. One of my favourite restaurants is Chianti. Was it pasta? But you always walk past their kitchen.
Yeah.
And I always just kind of sneak a little look, and it's quite small. Like for what they put out, like it's some of the best food I've ever had in Adelaide, I think. And you go, how do they do that in there? Like, there's just no room.
I used to work in an Indian restaurant actually, and called Jasmine on High Marsh Square.
Oh, that's delicious.
It was really cool. But I think when they started out, they just had the upstairs, and the kitchen there was built to serve about 30 people at most. And they've renovated downstairs, and we have some nights with 200, 250 people.
Oh,
it gets pretty tight. Yeah,
that's
it's
crazy. Yeah, that is so. Yeah.
But that's right. You work with what you've got, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
I think it's often better to have sort of less and get the most out of it than having a sort of big gleaming.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. It's when you're catering that things get a bit tricky, but we make do.
And so you do a bit of catering as well?
I do a bit. Like I thought maybe at the start of last year, after we kind of debuted Comfort Food Cabaret, I thought, maybe I'll really get into this. But catering just probably, it's really hard work, and it's hard to actually make a good living off of it. Yeah. So I'm probably more of a small batch caterer, where I'd like to try and just do like small. And I can see what you're trying to do that quietly.
We're going to have that.
It's not going to be quiet.
You need a new bottle opener for the podcast, Nick.
It actually goes for too long too. I better quickly open this one too.
Do it before it starts. There you go. Very vocal.
Nice.
It was actually a gift from the office to me on my birthday. It's a Batman bottle opener.
It goes for way too long.
Yeah, there you go. It's finished.
There you go.
It's
so I do a bit of catering.
It's a tough gig, catering, though.
Catering is hard. Like I can probably do, like during this season of Comfort Food Cabaret, I did a wedding for 100 people in Largs, and I was just like, oh my goodness, what have I done? Like this is so much work. Like 100,
weddings,
a lot of pressure.
Too.
I was like, I can't, never again. Like I'm happy to do smaller things, but it's just too hard, and that's fine. Like I don't necessarily want to be a full-time caterer because then it basically takes me away from singing. So there's always that balance of like we're doing a lot of weddings. I was just speaking about that before, singing a lot of weddings, singing a lot of, you know, Van Morrison, Brown Eyed Girl and, you know, Bruno Mars and a lot of Ed Sheeran at the moment because it's the new like top thing at weddings to sing. Yeah. And so you get a bit sick of that. You get to the point where you're like, oh, okay, do I have to do another wedding this weekend? And so then you get a catering gig and you're like, oh, good, it's great. And then you do too much catering, you're like, oh, I really want to sing some more Bruno Mars at a wedding. So it is good. Like I guess Comfort Food Cabaret at the start of the year sets us up for a lot of work because people go, oh, could you do this, you know, for my Christmas party? And we're really good. We talk about what we do out of this, and that we actually can do Comfort Food Cabaret in people's homes. So we'll do like a smaller version of it, and we'll often make it look like the host is like hired like a jazz duo and they're just singing, they're just playing, and people walk in and I'll have some staff and we'll serve drinks and some canapes and they're like, oh, isn't this lovely, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they'll just think I'm the cook. They just don't have any idea. And then after entree I'll just go to a microphone and start singing, and they love, and they're like, oh my god, the cook's singing. Like, and the real like theatre to it, and so they really like that, and that's really popular. Cool. So we kind of spend our time doing that, and that's a really nice balance because you're not really stuck doing one thing. You know, you don't get sick of it too quickly because, and that's really good fun. So Tasting Australia is always like a new, a lot of cooking, a lot of writing, a lot of singing, a lot of time on my feet.
Do you do like covers of songs but you tweak the lyrics to change it to food?
Yeah, we do. One good one that just came so naturally was Tina Arena's Chains, and we turned it into Hunger Pains.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that's pretty funny. People go, oh, that's good. And we try not to do too much of that because sometimes it makes it all feel a bit cheap. Like if you do every song that all the lyrics are changed to, like, you know, there's no light and shade. But
Weird Al Yankovic kind of.
Yeah. So we like to try and, you know, like we have definitely light and shade in our show. Like I was mentioning to you on the phone recently that my dad passed away earlier this year from cancer, and one of the big themes in the show is the connection of dining. And I actually talk about, you know, how losing him really made me like realise the act of dining, and it's something we actually take for granted a lot. Like a lot of people don't, like, you know, we'll go home, have dinner with our partners or our friends or housemates, or, you know, just have lunch with each other, and we just do it. We don't ever think about, isn't this nice to actually be able to do this? But I guess when you're sick with a disease like cancer, it kind of takes away your appetite. So that just went out the window for him. He just stopped going for dinner. Like we'd stop having kind of family dinners and stuff like that. So that was really difficult to see, and that I always talk about in the show how I felt really helpless because I couldn't show my generosity anymore because he was so sick he didn't want to eat. So I'd often, you know, like for my grandpa's 90, I'm always like, do you want me to cook you some meals and I'll bring them to the Barossa? And he's like, no, I'm fine. Because he's like a great cook and he's always gallivanting around the Barossa Valley to different people's houses and having dinner. So, but, you know, that's kind of a way we do show our love and generosity. So when someone's sick and that kind of goes away, things change. So, and so in the show we do have that light and shade. We talk about some of like the really sad things like that, and then, you know, kind of have the funny things about first kisses and, you know, funny encounters, hunger pains, like going to the gym, like prior to the wedding, I was like going to the gym a lot more and making sure I looked really good and you know, making sure I wasn't eating, you know, too much naughty stuff. And so that's how hunger pains came along, because I was just like, oh, I'm so hungry. I just want some food.
It's funny, I was driving yesterday and a song came on some playlist on Spotify, but it was a track that I used to listen to when I was like 19, but I was a pizza delivery driver then. But literally the song came on and I just had the smell of like the, you know, the cardboard, you know, the pizza in the car. It was just like pizza. But it just like came back.
Isn't that amazing?
Really odd. Like, it really hit me hard.
Yeah, absolutely. It does, doesn't it?
1983 Red Chimera.
I always found that it helped me study songs.
Yeah, me too.
Because when I'm reading like a particular chapter and listen to a song, I think about that song and then all of it just comes back to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can remember everything from the chapter.
That's great. That's a really good way to study then, if you can do that. Yeah, it's always they're both really moving mediums, I guess. So they work, you know, in whatever way you want to use it. Yeah, so it's always good.
So how did you get into music? Like, it's obviously been a big part of your life.
Yeah, I think I've always just been like one of those kids who just was like, look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm doing this now, I'm doing that now. So eventually my mum and dad went, just put her in singing lessons.
Yeah.
And then it turned out, you can actually sing, like you're actually really good. And so then I went through like other kind of singing schools. And I reckon when I was about 12, my dad was like, that's it, I wanted to go to a really good singing teacher. So he sought out a guy called Brian Gilbertson. I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
He's the director of the Christmas pageant.
Sure.
And he's actually like an incredible opera singer. And so I went to him, but I was like I was just going through puberty. I was really bitchy. And I just wanted to sing Mariah Carey. That's all I wanted to do.
Just a young
I was
diva.
such a diva. And I was like, I can sing. I'm fine. I don't need you. And he was like that teacher. He was like in the Karate Kid, like the mean teacher.
Oh, yeah.
And he was so mean in the first few years. And but he did really well with me. And he just kind of was like, forget everything you know. And I was like, I don't want to be an opera singer. I'm not going to teach you opera. I'm going to teach you how to sing and not damage your voice. And I was like, whatever. And he used to be so mean to me. And he used to cry after singing lessons. And even his wife used to pull him in and be like, she's your first child student. Like, you can't treat her like an adult kind of thing. And I was so scared of him. But within probably a couple of years, my voice had really changed and it really started to blossom. And I got to do some great gigs with him and like tour around and do really, really cool stuff as like a 15, 16-year-old. So that was really cool. Mm-hmm. And then, I've just always sang from that. So I used to do all the really bad talent shows like Search for a Star and everything. And I hated them, but that's just what you did when you were that age. And then I went into, everyone was like, oh, you have to audition for the X Factor and everything. So I did all of that and, I think I got into the top 20 of Ronan Keating's first year.
Okay.
And I was like, he's such a jerk, that guy. and it's so weird, like, because you watch this stuff on TV and even my younger cousins now go, oh my God, it's amazing. It's like, it's not what it seems at all. Like, it's really produced.
Yeah.
And like, I remember walking off a bus with 60 other contestants 8 times so that they could get the shot. Like, no, get back on the bus. Come off. No, be more excited. No, you at the back, put your hands up. No, now we want you to come off the bus looking sad. No, do that again. Like, so that's kind of how it works. So it's really, I just think I found that really quite confronting. And I think I found it a bit traumatic, to be honest. And I really didn't like how they would have you in a room for 20 hours and you'd just be doing audition after audition. And you just have some water, there's no food, like you're just sitting on the ground. It's cold or it's hot. And then they get you in to do like your song and then the judge like will come in for the end of it. They don't even hear all of it.
Oh, wow.
And then they're like, oh, what do you really want this? And by that point I'm thinking like, no, I just want to go. I'm just hungry and cold. I just want to have a shower. But like when you're young, you just don't really know what you want. I'm thinking, I really want this. Like maybe I want to be famous. And then after that, and when you get let go, like, I'm sorry, please step forward. Your X Factor journey is now over. Please say goodbye to the rest of the crew. So some people get really upset and there's cameras just waiting for them to capture that.
Yeah.
And so then they just follow you for the next 6 hours, like around, and you're like, they're like, and they're trying to really get you like, so are your dreams over? Do you feel devastated? Like, do you feel like you've given up everything for this? No, I'm fine. So they didn't get anything out of me because I was like, I'm not playing this game. I just want to go home. But I think after that I had to really reevaluate, like, what do you want to do with this? Do you want to be a famous singer? Like, I guess you grow up thinking maybe I could be Mariah Carey, maybe I could do that. And then you go, no, actually you don't really want to do that. Like, I want to just find my peace with what I want to do, and whether that is cabaret or whether that is singing in a band or something. I guess my upbringing was kind of a bit of that pop music, but I also really love Aussie music. So I love Midnight Oil, I love Cold Chisel. Like, there's generally a Cold Chisel song in every single one of my shows. Even Comfort Food Cabaret, I can get one in there. I'm like, I'm putting this in there. So I probably find that stuff balances me a bit. And I just went, I don't know if I want this, and I want to be able to be a bit more creative. And think there's always that family pressure as well. They're like, oh, you know, such a great singer. Why don't you do this? And it's like, because I don't want to. I don't want to do the voice anymore. I don't want to do that. Yeah. I'm really happy with where I'm at. And I guess with Comfort Food Cabaret, it's probably the best thing I've ever done. It's the most successful thing I've ever done. And now that's probably, I guess, paving a new path for me. You know, pardon the pun, but like, you know, it's, I guess it's, you know, opening doors for me that I didn't really expect. And, you know, sometimes you don't really know how that's going to happen, but it just has happened. So I think I just got into singing as a youngster thinking I wanted to be some pop star and then changing my opinions over the years of actually, no, I don't want that. Like I love my home. I love having my dogs around. Like I don't want to be on a plane all the time. I like being here. Yeah. And I like that.
But I think the dream is very different from the reality. Much like those TV shows. Yeah. I find it, I've got a cousin who's a really talented singer-songwriter, and he's 17, I think. And I think he's gone onto some of these shows, and it's sort of, I don't know, the impetus to get onto it. I don't know, when I grew up, like that was very much, you know, you wouldn't do that. It was more like, you know, do pub gigs and, you know, I suppose follow more of that kind of underground route in terms of music, because the TV shows are kind of the new record labels, aren't they? Sort of, you know, you go and get your deal or your sort of your package to go, and you know maybe something's going to come out of this. Yeah, but you know, it's very manufactured.
Yeah, and I think even I guess, you know, what you guys do is probably even disrupting that now, like, because it's, you know, there are people out there who are going, no, I don't want to go on the X Factor. I don't want to do that. I'm going to write my own music and produce it completely independently. And if you're good, if you're savvy with that, you can do that very, very well. Sometimes you don't need the record, you don't need the TV show and things like that.
The
you don't need that.
Yeah,
you've got it. You can do that. Like I could build my own website if I wanted. I could, you know, I can do different things, YouTube, social media wise, YouTube. There's so much you can do now. So everything seems to just be disrupting every model. And, you know, I just watch these. I saw an ad this morning for The Voice, like the new blind auditions, and like the stuff they do in the ads now, you're like, wow, you're getting really desperate. Like they're really getting, because I just think that people are tuning out because they're going, I don't know if I want, like, you know, every bit of reality TV has changed. Like, you know, we've gone from like The Bachelor to like all of the Bachelor rejects stuck on an island getting drunk. Yeah. Like now, all hooking up with each other. Like we've gone from
like
you know,
sub-reality.
Yeah, we've got a singing TV show where now they don't even look at you, and now they swing around on their chairs, you know, artificially. Like, you know, we've got,
how far can they milk
and we, you know, we've got My Kitchen Rules, which is probably more about the fighting at the table and the personalities and the food. Like we've got really, really different things now with reality TV. So I think that everything is just being disrupted and they just can't keep up. So I do like that, because I think it's great to see artists. I love seeing like a musician, a singer-songwriter make good from just their own tools and just be able to do that. Like there's nothing better. You're like, good on you. Like you didn't have to do that and didn't have to go through that, and that's always good as well.
There's a whole, like, I think there's a whole, you know, subgenre of, well, it's not even a subgenre, but, you know, like all the Vice stuff, so Action Bronson and these kind of, like these YouTube kind of food shows that are kind of more in line with, you know, the way we think and talk and act and what we're interested in, that don't have that glossy kind of TV
Swedish Mealtime.
Yeah,
that's right.
Absolutely. Like, and it's just and even I look at Jamie Oliver when he started as like the naked chef, and to now, I'm like, oh wow, things have changed, haven't they?
It was really like raw back then.
It was so raw,
like,
you know.
I mean, some of the stuff
it's got makeup on.
And, the bee watchers. I mean, some of the like Japanese stuff.
My wife, all she watches is Japanese people eating as much food as it possibly can.
Oh, really?
She watches giant bowl of noodles, things like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are like serious YouTube channels with like, you know, that are making
like millions of subscribers watching this.
And it is funny, like we always joke about this at home, but my husband's 11 years older than me. So he would always, like, we bought a Weber. And he said, oh, okay.
Let's plug there.
Like, you know, sorry?
We've done work for Weber as well.
Oh, really? Oh, nice. Okay, good. We bought a Weber, and he went, oh, okay, well, how long do we put the turkey on the Weber for? And I was like, oh, okay, hold on. So he went to go to get the instructions, to have a recipe book. And I was just on YouTube. I was like, oh, I've got a YouTube channel. And he was just flabbergasted. He was like, do you YouTube everything? And this is before we were being together for a while. I said, Yeah, actually, I do. I YouTube everything. Like,
Sure.
I had a flat tire the other day, so I YouTubed how to change a tire. Like, you can YouTube anything.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, Google anything. And he's now starting to Google things if he has a question. Because but, you know, he's like, he would generally go to a recipe book or the instruction manual. Whereas I'm like, there's surely like a YouTube video that will teach me how to use our air conditioner. Or cook on our Weber. Like, you know, that's
And you
how
can get very
we do.
niche and very sort of arcade.
PDFs
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, absolutely. Like I probably do that like once every day. Like I had a voucher to use today, and I was like, I'm making some pastry for Tasting Australia, and I'm going to get some pastry weights. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, oh, what's that? It's a pastry. It's a butter cutter. Why do you need a butter cutter? I'll YouTube it. I'll Google it. I went, YouTube, butter cutter. There's a lady like using the butter cutter. I went, oh, well, I'm going to get one of them.
A good tip, which is very obvious to people that actually cook pastry a lot, but when you're using rice as the weight, you need to put baking paper down first.
Yes, I do know that. I did, and I didn't learn the hard way. I saw that on a YouTube video.
I was picking rice out of my pie the other week.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Yeah. No. I just bought some pastry weights today. I was like, let's do this.
I bought some too after that.
Also, don't use gluten-free dough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Gluten-free pastry is not great. Is it? I haven't been able to make it.
No.
Nah.
No, so
hard.
Tess, who works with us, I cook Nick and Tess pizza, but I tried to make it from scratch, thinking I'll do
pizza
it.
dough.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But the gluten-free, it just stuck. It just
and it's really hard.
It crumbled. It was.
Yeah. You always wonder how.
Me and Sam had like these glorious pizzas, and Tessa's was like this kind of just demented, crumbly, just a blob.
Do you want some bread with your cheese? Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no. It's always good, but yeah, I think it's great that you can actually just like watch a program and learn a recipe these days. Yeah, that's always.
And music too. I mean, think about I used to play guitar when I was a kid, but you go to the store and buy like a music book, and even finding tab them was quite difficult. Now you can just anything you want to learn. Like I mean, especially in the careers that we're in, everything's available to learn.
I guess it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Cooking is a big one though, because essentially you become like a master chef, really,
Yeah, you're
just
right.
by watching videos.
Yeah.
You do.
You can pretty much cook anything you want.
I find now that I do go to cookbooks a lot though. Like I like cookbooks. Especially ones that have the more of the story behind it and sort of some of the background.
Yeah.
As opposed to just a recipe.
Yeah. Everyone buys me cookbooks because they go, oh, Michelle loves cooking, so she loves cookbooks. But I never use them because I always YouTube everything. So everyone's like, do you have this cookbook? Oh, no, I don't need any more. Don't buy me a cookbook. I'm fine, thanks.
Cool. So before we wrap up, if you want to give us a bit more info about the shows, are they all sold out, or is there still some tickets available?
So we've got 2 shows for Tasting Australia. We've got one on the 14th of April and one on the 20th. The one on the 14th sold out before we could even advertise it, probably because we were talking about it during the Fringe, so that helped. And then we've added another one on the 20th of April, and that's at Crack Kitchen. I think it's $125. That includes 3-course meal, all the entertainment, and wine. And we are doing that at Crack Kitchen. You can book via Tasting Australia. And just look for the one saying April 20th, because when you go and look for it, it just says sold out. But there is another one.
Nice. We'll chuck the link up as well.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
So to finish off, what if you had one last dinner, the death row dinner, what would it be?
Oh, spaghetti bolognese.
Oh, that's mine too.
Yeah, I love spaghetti bolognese. Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
I think it's one of those ones that you just can't go past.
Yeah, we did a fancy version of it last year in the show, that we did a ragu with like spaghetti.
Oh, nice.
And that was yummy. But parmesan cheese. Too much parmesan.
Nice.
Too much parmesan.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Cheers, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.